So today's video is going to be about the 3 ways of knowing, and then I'm going to talk about kind of my perception of this. Empaths are my mission, you are my mission, and my path is through Christ. I like to provide practical tips for the empath and the not alike. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is from the base knowledge of Your Sixth Sense. I would encourage you to read it. I'm going to talk about how he kind of sees knowledge, and then I'm going to kind of give my kind of view on knowledge. But I did like the base knowledge that he provided. So the 3 ways of knowing. How can we kind of receive knowledge? The first one would be knowledge through experience, right? This is the physical knowledge that we either ingest by reading or hearing or, lessons learned, right? And he says that it is logic plus experience over time. And I have as a note that humans are very forgetful of their past. So I would encourage you to look at your life and see if there are any patterns that exist, right? If you notice, well, you usually don't notice, but when you practice meditation, you feel better overall. And you notice that when you don't practice meditation, you feel scattered. Seeing that, knowing that experience, hopefully encourages you to practice more, to be more healthy, right? I've had empaths tell me, oh, the phone is a huge distraction for me. The TV is a huge distraction for me. It disconnects me from God. So my question would be, why are you watching TV so much? But anyway, learning the lessons of our past and kind of using that. And that's the experiential knowledge. So encouraging you, embrace the experiential knowledge of all your lessons. Okay, or all your life, right? All your life lessons. Okay, so number 2 is intuitive, right? This is what the place that I normally work in as an emotional empath. It's just when your body or your boundaries kind of extend a little bit further than your physical vessel. So the boundaries extend beyond you, and the kind of knowledge you're receiving is more feelings, sensations, perceptions, and emotions, right? You feel the heart's mind, body, perhaps the motivation, positive and negative energy of plants, if you're a plant empath, or animals, or spirits, right? So these are just kind of slightly outside of you, right? Slightly outside your boundary energy for me. Okay, so that's the next way. The third way of knowing is what I'm going to call, because he called it this, but I'm going to change it up because my clairvoyants don't like being called clairvoyants or psychic empaths that are the Christian ones, so they're uncomfortable with the word, which is fine. So psychic knowing is a cognitive pop, right, of information. For me, it's more like a data download. I touch here because it's kind of like a pop of information from here, that kind of like my crown. It feels like grace, he says, which is very interesting to me because it is a gift, right? And anyway, so let me not get straight. And then it connects us to a higher, greater truth, something smarter than us, something that our soul knows that we need, right? So this is the psychic knowing. Now that is how he says it. The knowing is kind of like a sense or a leap in logic, analysis, rational thought, and it just shows up. Kind of like those eureka moments. Like I would say that everyone has a little bit of number 2 and 3, right? For number 2 would be an example of everyone having access to it, would be kind of mobs, right? They all kind of have this, connected anger. Concerts, right? Those Woodstock would be another one, right? Peace and love, minus the drugs. I'm sure there was peace and love already there. But also, during the holiday season when people are cheerful. Also during the holiday season when people are sad, right? These things are connecting everyone. So everyone has a little bit of intuition. The empath just has a bit more of an antenna, right? We can feel it a little bit stronger. Same thing with psychic knowing. Everyone has that feeling, oh, I need to call my mom, or oh, I need to call my friend, or they have that pop of information, but perhaps the knowledge empaths is what I'll call them, or they call them precogs, or you can into ESP, psychic ability. They have more access to the psychic knowing. Okay, so now let's talk about kind of my perception of it really quickly. For me, it's more like spaces or places than kind of just the way of knowledge. I take a couple of steps back. So number one is, I think of them as kind of being superimposed on each other, right? It feels like I'm kind of diverging, but if God is the creator of everything, if you think about God as only creating this earth, right? That's very small. God created matter. He created physics. He created knowledge. Okay, going back, let's start from the bottom, or the lower, the easily accessible to us. Number one, the space is the physical space, or the physical world. Right? This is what God created, right? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This is where most of us operate, right? In the physical realm. These is also how we learn lessons within the physical body, right? The second space is going to be more of an emotional energy space, right? The emotional energy space, which is where I operate in, right? And this is going to be like the empaths, what we all do, right? This is the way that I can see positive or negative energy. I can provide guidance to someone if they're working they're in a dark place. You can provide encouragement and love to them. So this is where I normally operate in the emotional space. Now, right on top of that, for me, is the knowledge space. So these are my precogs, or my psychics, or my whatever you want to call them. I call them knowledge empaths. So this is created actually before the creation of the earth, if you read in Proverbs. She is described as a woman kind of wandering the earth, available to everyone. And this, for an example of this, is when you notice around the world when kind of there'd be huge technological advances, and the scientific information they've not shared any, right? But you'll see that. So people can grab it. Anyone can kind of grab this. They're the eureka moments. The knowledge is accessible to anyone who is willing to receive it, right? So you have it. Anyone has access to knowledge space. The knowledge empaths might have a little bit more access to it. Okay, and then the last one, or the top one, is kind of the existence as God is created. That is the God space. That's the spiritual reality for me. And understanding that these are all superimposed on themselves, which means the spiritual world is here, right? So spiritual empaths will have more of a connection with this space. Now, going into these spaces, right? So that's why I think of it as space and not, merely like kind of tangible kind of knowledge pops. These spaces are accessible from within you. Now, as an empath, as an emotional empath, I'm always used to reaching out, and I have to bring that energy in and understand that, number one, I'm in the physical world, right? Bring it in, then, I might go into bring in all my emotional space, and then relax, and you can go into these different areas. Now, your path to these different areas is going to be different from everyone else's path, but I want to tell you that God meets you in your individuality. So enjoy the journey, and make sure that you share your knowledge, because it's not about just going to heaven or getting to your goal. It's also about bringing people with you and growing a kingdom, right? Bringing heaven on earth, right? Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, right? And heaven is here, the spiritual world. Okay, so wishing you love and light on your journey. I hope this helps, and guidance through the Holy Spirit. Thank you.